Hey everybody, how you doing? I'm doing pretty well myself. Good morning everyone. Crack of dawn here on well, I say the crack of dawn. 10 a.m. here on the West Coast. I'm sure it's later and earlier depending on where you are, but how y'all doing? I'm doing pretty well myself. I'm pretty excited. I'm really excited actually about this adventure. I think it's gonna be pretty good. Poison Shadows. It's gonna be pretty sweet. Would be better if I was drinking. You know what, Plunder? It's past noon where you are. You're good. It's not morning anymore. Hey, D-Frog, how you doing? You're doing good. Good to hear. Well, everyone, I'm just gonna quickly give the old DL about what we're doing here. This is D&D time behind the screen. For those unaware, basically I, Jeremy, aka TrustAFlumph, I'm gonna go through my I'm gonna go through an adventure from this book over here, which is this is a PDF of it, but it's called Dungeon Delve. It's a 4th edition supplement for Dungeons and Dragons, and I'm gonna be going through one of the adventures, converting it for 5th edition, setting it up in Roll20, and basically doing everything I need to do to get ready to run it for tomorrow's game of DnDTime Delves. So yeah, it should be really cool. We're gonna probably work a little bit on making some interesting monsters for them to fight. I know there's at least 1, maybe 2 monsters in this supplement that I really think we can come up with some cooler kind of abilities for and stuff to make a little more interesting in 5e. And then that's really about it. If you think this is a cool looking adventure, bright side is you can run it too. It's real easy. And you can watch me run it tomorrow for 4 great dudes. It should be a real fun game. Also, hey Raybex, how you doing? I think Raybex is how you say that. Welcome to the stream. I noticed you're on the Discord. I can't really talk to you right now because I'm doing this, but I forgot this. The owlbear enthusiast extraordinaire. I love owlbears. They're my favorite. Maybe we can find a way to get some owlbears in this adventure, but it'll be a little tough. Anywho, for those wondering where you can get this adventure, or all of these adventures in Dungeon Delves, are all the adventures that I work on here in D&D Time Behind the Screen and run in D&D Time Delves. They are available on the Dungeon Masters Guild. It's like $5 or $10, I think, for the PDF copy of the book. It's real cheap. And the book contains 30 adventures, ranging from levels 1 to 30 in 4th edition. It's pretty easy to convert those to 5th edition. Basically, you just take the 4th edition level, you divide it by 2, and then you add 3 to it. So the level 1 adventure in this book, you divide it by 2, rounds down to 0, add 3. It's suitable for level 3 characters in 5th edition. That works basically for everything. So this one is level 8. See, it's 8 Poison Shadows. Hey, Raybex, Encounter Roleplay. Nice. Welcome to the stream. I hope you enjoy it. This is a little bit of a funky one. It's a real casual stream compared with what we usually do, but oh, and Flunder's gonna be able to play next week. But anyway, so this is a level 8 adventure for 4th edition. Divide it by 2, that's 4. Add 3 to it, that makes it a level 7 adventure in 5e. So it's super easy, and yeah, it actually works really well. I've run a whole ton of these now, like 7 or 8 of them at this point, and it has worked pretty much flawlessly every time. So it gets a little funky when you get to the really high level stuff, but for the most part, if you take a monster in 4th edition and take the same monster in 5th edition, they haven't changed very much, because it doesn't make sense for a monster to change. Like, a Beholder is going to be roughly as powerful in 4e as it's going to be in 5e. It's not going to suddenly be magically way more powerful, because they want some continuity between the editions. But anywho, looking forward to my Myth Tier boss battle. Yeah, right, Plunder, you're getting real close to that Myth Tier boss battle for Pete and Jeremy's D&D time. I'm pretty stoked. Pete and I are going to have a lot of fun coming up with whatever that next Myth Tier adventure is going to be. It's going to be good, though. I know, it always is good, but it's going to be real good. Anywho, yeah, let's quickly talk about this. So the reason I do this show is just to show you it's so easy to set up an adventure in Roll20 and to convert these old adventures to 5th edition. It does require a little bit of knowledge of the monsters in 5e, mostly, which I've got, but honestly, you can get that just by flipping through the monster manual, or Volo's Guide to Monsters, or Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and just glancing at similar looking things. So, like, in this case, they're a bunch of Shatterkai. So you just go to Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes, and you look at the Shatterkai, and wow, they're pretty much what you need. But anyway, yeah, let's dive in. So, Poisoned Shadows. The way this book is set up is it'll give you the adventure title, and then it'll give you a basic adventure hook. This one's very, very small. And I think the adventure hook is arguably the most important part here, because this is what gets your players into the game. This is why they're doing whatever they're doing, why they're engaging with the adventure. It's great as a way of giving your characters and your players motivation to work with. So, in this case, right? Well, in this case, you're gonna have to consider: are you running this adventure as a one-shot, right? As a one-off? People made characters; they sat down to just play this one thing, and that's it. Or are you putting this adventure into a campaign somewhere? And they're both important things to think about, right? Because if you're putting it into a campaign, you really have to consider how you're going to tie it in. This one's very easy. We'll get to it in a minute. But if you're doing it as a one-shot, it's even easier, right? Because you just sit down and say, hey guys, this is the adventure. Here is your rough adventure hook. So this one reads: the city has been plagued by mysterious nighttime assassinations that leave behind no clues as to who may have perpetrated them. Divinations from the Temple of Ioun adherents suggest a guilty party can be found beneath the nearby curio shop. The PCs set off. Beneath the shop waits the Poisoned Shadows Assassins Guild, as well as a greater danger than the party could ever have expected. Radical. That is just cool. There's an Assassin's Guild, you gotta root them out. Nice and simple. If you're just doing a one-shot, you can just say, an Assassin's Guild's been causing problems, you've been hired to root them out. And that's their MO. You've traced them back to this curio shop, and then start them at the curio shop, or maybe they interrogate an NPC and bust into the basement. In this case, I'm going to figure out, so, following the famous Vindale Harvest Festival, our heroes have made friends with a popular priest of, what did it say, Ioun? Makes sense, right? Because Ioun divination. There's no E in Ioun. It's I'm blind, blind. Ioun, Ioun. I'm gonna say, yeah, priest of Ioun, who partied hard. No, however, when the priest is found dead in the morning, the Temple of Ioun beseeches, I can't spell beseech, spell check, are the heroes to find whoever is responsible and bring them to justice. So, I mean, that's a pretty straightforward little adventure hook. Super simple, super light. And right there, I spelled priest wrong. So this, by the way, is my handy little notepad. I use this for basically everything. I got a whole bunch of other notes open here, which I'm not going to move to because they have secret DnDTime stuff you cannot know of. But I just use this to jot down my notes. So in this case, the adventure hook, really simple. I'm actually going to tie this in to last week's dungeon delve. In last week's delve, the party made their way to this city called Vindale for their harvest festival, where an unfortunate event occurred with an evil, my handy dandy notepad. Yeah. My handy dandy notepad plus plus. They made their way to Vindale for the Harvest Festival and found that a horrible ancient kind of curse thing happened, and they fought the monsters there and whatever. So this week, they're still in Vindale. I know at least one of the characters is going to be playing the same. One of the players is going to be playing the same character they played last week. So we'll see what happens. What happens else? What the other players end up doing. But either way, it's easy. The adventure hook is just they made friends with a priest, and the priest was brutally murdered, and they have to bring the people to perpetrators to justice. So I give them a little personal investment, saying, yes, this priest is your friend. And one of the characters, I think I'm going to make it real personal because they died last week. So they were resurrected by this particular priest who was then brutally murdered. Are you planning on getting a letter later? I don't know if I'm planning on getting a letter later. I'm intrigued. I don't understand. Anyway, I should actually move my microphone to the correct spot. You can probably hear me a little better with it down there. But yeah, a nice, very simple, like, 2-sentence adventure hook. Easy peasy. Yeah, so we're gonna move on to this other notepad. The handy dandy notebook. And Poison Shadows. So the next thing that Dungeon Delve offers is it gives you options of expanding the delve. These are cool ways that you can make this one-shot adventure into more of a full-blown deal. So in this case, it recommends making the guild larger, having the assassins kill someone the PCs know, and then the PCs trailing the fleeing assassins, having like an urban chase kind of challenge to roll with this. It's cool. There's a whole bunch of stuff you can do. It gives you some suggestions for increasing the sewer scene. There's a sewer chase area in this dungeon, which I'm excited about. It gives you a map of the dungeon, which we can see right here. Which, interesting, we got the basement of a curio shop and then sewers. Very different from our usual crumbling ruins. Mentions doppelgangers and all sorts of cool other stuff. So, at this point, we zoom out a little bit more. Boop, boop, ba-doop. But why is it zoom? Oh, because I'm not holding the right button. So, encounter 8-1. So, first encounter of Adventure 8. All of these adventures are broken up into 3 encounters. They're very, very straightforward. And this one is the basement of the curio shop. So, the assumption here is the players have reached the curio shop and are now into the basement. And let's look up setup. So we zoom in. First thing it tells you is the monsters. 4 Shadarkai warriors. Cool. Shadarkai are neat. They're also humanoids, which is a really interesting enemy because things like charm person or hold person are effective against them, which they aren't against most other monsters. They're only effective against humanoids. So you'll find that many humanoids are disproportionately powerful for their level because they can be affected by those spells. Additionally, a lot of humanoids tend to be powerful spellcasters at higher levels. Oh, Jesus. Oh, no. We don't need to put salt and pepper into D&D time. We're good. Oh, Plunder, please, have mercy. Anyway, so our setup here. They say the PCs find the curio shop empty, but light leaks out from cracks in the basement door. The PCs begin from the stairs and discover the assassins in their den. I don't like that. So the very first thing I think is grumpy gnome shopkeeper at curio shop. So first I need a shop name. Chat, I'm sure you can get me, and then shopkeeper name. So I'm gonna need those 2 things. And they can be whatever y'all think they should be. Oh, Jesus. No, not Waluigi, please. What are you doing in my shop? Alright, shopkeeper's Waluigi. Oh, I spelled Waluigi wrong. Blap. Man. What are you doing in my shop? All right, and then we need the shop name, so y'all can figure out what that's gonna be. But I think, right, this is gonna be, I don't think it's gonna be much of a skill challenge, because I think shopkeeper in cahoots with cahoots with Shatter Kai. Waluigi's Warrior Wares. That's not a curio shop. Maybe though. Tries to tell party off. Oh, Wondrous Wares. Okay. Draws hand crossbow if party doesn't leave. So I think the shopkeeper is very weak, and it's just like they can murder him if they want, and then they're murderers in this town. Okay. Waluigi's Wondrous. Oh, there's no E in Wondrous Wares. Perfect. So we got Waluigi's Wondrous Wares, run by Waluigi. The disproportionately tall gnome. Okay. Super Wario Brothers construction. Wario and Wario's Wondrous. Oh boy. We'll come back to this. Maybe we'll do something different than Waluigi's Wondrous Wares, but I like Waluigi's Wondrous. I like the Wondrous Wares for certain. So, I like the idea, right, of them being kind of held up, and maybe they hear noise coming from the basement. Hear noise coming from basement during conversation, and then gnome gets nervous. The Super Smash Brothers, and he get kicked out of his own shop. Oh, jeez. All right, so we'll start with the shop. I like this. So this is actually encounter 0. And actually, let me. Boop. I like to put tabs on things just because it really helps me out like that. So now we go to encounter 1. Encounter 1, and that is this shop, the basement area. So that's the basement. Basement. Encounter 0 is shop proper. Also, it's a, remember guys, it's a curio shop. The tavern and inn. I don't know. So yeah, they make their way to the bottom, and then it gives you some flavor text here. So when they first enter the real first encounter, and that is 3 pale tattooed people cluster near the far side of the cellar. They start at your approach, becoming alert and drawing weapons. So nice and straightforward. These are our Shatter Kai, so we're gonna just copy and paste that straight up because I like it. Boop. There's no reason not to use something great if it's great, right? Because that's all I'm going to want to say is there are 3 tattooed, pale-skinned creatures, or humans. At the beginning of the encounter, only place Fatale, the Witch, and 2 of the Shadow Kai warriors. The other 2 warriors enter later. So it gives you a little bit of detail about how to set up the encounter there, and then it says, with a perception check, players can notice the wine rack rocks precariously with the force of your entrance. So I'm just going to write that. The wine rack rocks precariously with the force of your entrance down the stairs. So I think that's just, I don't even want a perception check on that. I'm just, I want them to engage with the wine rack because there's a wine rack down there, and I think that'll be cool. Tactics. This is an interesting part, because usually I completely ignore the tactics, but in this case, I think I'm going to also completely ignore the tactics. Tactics in 4th edition, Dungeons & Dragons was a very tactic-heavy game, and so it gave you, like, strategies on how to optimally play the monsters. I personally don't need that, because I know how I'm going to play these guys. They're going to beat the absolute shit out of the player characters and try and flank them, which is exactly what it tells you to do, using their Shadow Jaunt ability and whatever. So, we'll worry about that later. Nice. So anyway, that is this part. I think my PDF thingy is freezing up on me. Of course it is. It always does. Whoop! So then we jump down to the next page, and I zoom out, and it tells me features of the area. It gives me stat blocks for the monsters, which was great, and it shows me a layout, of the area. So the players are going to come down the stairs. They're going to see these 2 Shadowkai, the W's, the warriors, and we are going to... Furbies. Oh no. No Furbies. And we're going to see F, which is Fatale, the Shadowkai witch. So she is very important. She's central to this adventure. The shtick that we're going for with this is Fatale is going to try and flee from every adventure, from every encounter. So she is going to start here. She's going to start to fight. And as soon as it looks like they're losing, she is going to flee down this grate up there and escape. And she's going to try and escape. It's possible she just dies. But we're going to try and get her to escape. So. And one important thing is just because she's supposed to escape doesn't mean you should screw the players if they cleverly capture her. Like, if they outsmart her and win, that sucks. Like, that just happens. So it's going to be really important that we look at her abilities and figure out what of these abilities are going to help her to have lots of health and to avoid being, like, grappled and restrained to get out of those kind of conditions. So, just don't even worry about it, man. It's all good. Lots of folks, that's the thing about DnDTime. It's okay if you're not here. We, just work around it. No big deal, dude. Just sign up whenever you're around and we'll get you in. But anyway, let's zoom back out a little bit and let's zoom in. So we have our first monster, Shadowkai Warrior. Not going to worry too much about that right now. And then Fatale, the Shadowkai Witch. We're going to get to building the monsters in a little bit once we're actually in Roll20. So for now, we just acknowledge that's what we have. So the floor of the shop and features of the area. A small lantern on the table provides illumination throughout the room. Cool. If tipped over, light goes out, plunging the room into darkness. That's a really cool feature. So I'm going to make sure that they're in Roll20. There's a little lantern on the table, so it's very clear that they can douse the light, which is cool, right? Lighting and being able to affect that, on top of being cool for Roll20, because you can do some sweet stuff with dynamic lighting, is just a fun asset to deal with, right? Because characters who do and don't have dark vision, that makes a very big difference. Also, all creatures have advantage on stealth in dim light, because creatures have disadvantage to perceive with dark vision. That's just a rule of dark vision. You treat everything as though it's dim light. So, illumination, cool. Ceiling is 10 feet high. I feel like in a building like this, that's actually relevant, so I'm going to stick with that. Usually I don't care about ceiling heights. I kind of guesstimate whatever is most convenient for the players, because if they have a cool idea that involves using the ceiling, I want to empower that. I don't want to tell them, well, the ceiling is 28 feet tall and you can only get up 20 feet, so you can't do your cool idea. That's just not the kind of DM I want to be. But that's just me. Other people prefer very strict realism. Table. Table provides cover. Yeah, cool. Can be tipped over the strength check. I'm sure. Okay, whatever. I think I can just tip it over to the table. Barrels and crates. Yeah, there are crates everywhere. You can throw them around. Chest. I'm going to get rid of that chest. I don't want that to be there. I don't actually care about it. Oh, actually, it's important. It has information. Ooh. So, maybe we'll put that chest back in. So let me put that note in there. Chest contains gems and correspondence, indicating that the Poisoned Shadows Assassins Guild. Oh, I should probably capitalize everything. Guild is headquartered in the sewers below. I'm just gonna leave that there. So we'll say it has a bunch of gold worth of gems, and this correspondence, and we'll throw it somewhere in there. It doesn't really matter. Wine rack. This is what I care about. The wine rack. Oh, you didn't know how to voice chat. I'm sorry, Jay. Just so heavy, full of cheap and worthless wine. I like that description. The rack is heavy and full of cheap, worthless wine. Precariously balanced. Fills up 10 by 10 foot area. One falls. And actually, I should put that on a new tab. Boop. And fall. A character doesn't interact, can tip it over. Oh, no action to tip. Cool. No action to tip it over. Radical. And it's going to be, and this it says an attack versus reflex. That was a thing in 4th edition. We're going to treat that as just a dex saving throw. And our save is going to be, so the way I determine saving throws is it's going to be, the DC is 8 plus, so all saving throws, when you're calculating them, start with 8. And determine the appropriate saving throw DC for like a given level of an encounter. You're going to go 8 plus the proficiency bonus that a character would have at 7th level. So in this case, 7th level, which I believe is a 4. Yeah, it should be a +4. Plus, and then you basically just pick a number. So in this case, you're going between a +1 and a +5 to represent a character with a 10 in a skill versus a character with a 20 in a skill. So if this were a trap laid by a rogue with a 20 dexterity, this would be a +5. In this case, it's just heavy. So I think maybe this is equivalent to like a 16 strength. I'm just guesstimating, which is a +3. And so I've just basically fudged out what the DC is. So 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Boop. And that's all you do. That's precisely how you determine difficulties for this. It's really easy. It's a little bit DM's discretion, but there are upper caps. Like, there are upper caps to what you can do here. And you can make it so that it's like, all right, so a really high-level character came and set this trap, and that's why it's a really high DC. But there are rules, and there are kind of built-in limits for this edition. So, dex saving throw 15. Easy peasy. And knocks prone and does damage. I'm going to figure out the exact damage later. It says 2d6 plus 5 here. Yeah, we're just going to figure that out. That's a wine rack. Other misc stuff. Or athletics check, 15 to move. Move provides half cover. So easy stuff. They can throw these boxes around down here, or the barrels, or the table, and that's just super easy. Some stuff that they can play around with. Alrighty, so we got that, and that, And that's basically the whole basement encounter. So we have our monsters. We're gonna work on them a little more later. And it says that there are 4 Shatter Kai warriors. The idea is that there are these 2. And then there are 2 hiding under the stairs. I'm probably just going to put 1 under the stairs because we're going to want Fatale to be important and then to flee. We don't want this to be the deal breaker battle. So let's move on to encounter number 2. Boop. Into the sewers. A great name for encounter 2. So I'm going to, on my little handy notepad, I'm going to encounter 2 into the sewers. And you can see behind me on Roll20 here. Haha. I already have the stuff tossed on there, but we'll worry about that later. So, starting off encounter number 2, let's look at the monsters. I'm very excited about these monsters, as they are pretty radical. Massive gelatinous cube. Sewers are gross, Bionic Shiba, but here's the thing. This is a one-shot adventure, so they have to do it. And if it weren't a one-shot adventure, well, if they want to do anything to stop Fatale, and actually, you know what? Maybe I'm going to add something to Encounter 1. Fatale mocks players about murdered friend. You'll never find retribution for your stupid fat priest. Oh, yeah. There we go. Really rub it in that they want to kill Fatale. Fatale was the one who killed their guy. I gave Pete inspiration for a song, Jeremy. It's in the Discord. Oh! I will have to look at that later, Wonder. Pete inspiration. I'm not giving Pete inspiration. So you encounter 2 into the sewers. Right, so we got our Master Gelatinous Cube, an Oni Night Haunter. Oh, sick. I love Oni. Oni are really cool monsters in 5th edition. They're this awesome mix of spellcaster and, like, actual horrifying monster. The cube is going to murder them all. You know what? I hope it does. And then 2 Shatter Kai. So, radical. Set up. The fleeing Shatter Kai Witch, or the papers found in Area 1, lead the player characters through the grate at the basement and down a ladder into the sewers. At the bottom, they encounter a disguised guild lieutenant and 2 of his prized pupils, as well as a terrifying pet of the assassins. The player characters begin down the ladder, having just climbed down. Instead of immediately placing the Oni, place a figure representing a harmless old man in one of the squares the Oni occupies. Don't place the Shatter Kai Goonblades or Gelatinous Cube yet, because both begin the encounter out of sight. Radical. So the only thing they're going to find when they're going down the sewers is just an old man. Which, of course, they're not going to trust, and they're going to murder the old man, but that's okay. He's actually a terrifying Oni. When the players climb down the ladder, read the following. I'm going to just... Like before, if they have good text, I'ma take it. Welcome to Dungeons & Dragons. Oh, I'm running this adventure, so I guess it's not stealing. When they move far enough east, read the following. In the alcove to the southeast, the torch gutters on the floor. Ooh, all right, so we got torchlight. Otherwise, it looks like we got darkness in here, which darkness, like I said, is fun. A torch gutters on the floor next to a badly beaten elderly man who moans weakly. Ooh, it's a trick. I like tricks. Underneath the alcove, sewage flows into an intake pipe somewhere beyond a grate. Somewhere beyond the grate, a faint light flickers. Radical. I am TrustAFlumph, Jgist. Trying to evoke some sort of necromantic ritual. Plunder! What are you doing with the necromancy rituals, buddy? You got cut it. No necromancy in the Discord. And this I like. So this is insight for if a player tries to figure out if the elderly man is actually whatever. Whoop. And of course, the copy paste doesn't always work great. But that's okay, because that's not that hard to fix. So, at this point, it's weird. Usually I have to go through and fudge around these adventures a little bit more. But, oh, actually, but anyway, but this time, it's pretty simple. And then perception check to notice the cube. Okay, so maybe I wanna rephrase this a little bit. So I am changing the text on here for the perception check. The perception check is basically saying something large is concealed beneath the water, so that something unseen is influencing the flow of the sewage. Cool. I didn't want to be quite so clear as there's something hidden under the water, because I think that gives away too much. So let's check about these DCs. We could change these. DCs are really not compatible between editions. But I think in this case, I might just keep these as they are. I kind of like the idea of them being a little tough and then not so tough. These are actually pretty good numbers for this level. Now, how do I know that? I don't. I am just fudging stuff. I'm making it up. And welcome to Dungeon Mastering. You just make up what you think feels right based on your experience. So, anyway, so let's dig down. Again, it's got tactics. I'm not too concerned. We got the Oni, sick. We'll get to him later. Scroll down. We got the Shatterkai. We'll get to these monsters later. Features of the area. So here we have the players are going to come down this ladder. They start to move down. The only way really across, unless they jump, is across this pipe. And I'm going to say that like a normal jump, like a normal character could make this jump. It's 10 feet. Not with without a running start, actually, it'd still be tough. You'd have to be really strong. I think it would be difficult because of all the slime and muck and stuff. So it'd be there'd be a serious DC. So DC to jump across pretty hard because slime and stuff. And then there's going to be a DC to cross on pipe, easier. So we want them to cross on the pipe because bad things are going to happen to them if they cross on the pipe. Let's see. So they climb down the ladder, they go down here, they get over to there, and they see the old man probably somewhere over here, right? Being like, ugh! And that's when they get over, and then the trap kind of springs, right? I imagine after a couple people cross this pipe, the cube envelops this area, just kind of swirls over them on the pipe while they're trying to cross, and then the old man turns into the Oni, and the Gloom Blades strike. And I think I'd put a couple, maybe I'd move the Gloom Blades over to this side for like a proper flank, with the Oni here, that there, and the Gloom Blades there. I like that a little more, I think. A proper flank. And honestly, I don't know what else we need here. Features of the area. Illumination, we just have the one flickering torch. Radical. What else? Ceiling, 20 feet high. I don't care about the ceiling. It can be as high as they want it to be. Oh, it's a pipe, so probably only 20 feet because it's circular. Sewage, murky sewage. Oh, that's actually important. Let's figure out what the sewage is. Sewage. It is difficult terrain. Takes 4 times or 3 times movement to move through. So it's very dense, just thick sewage. How deep do you want it to be? 3 feet deep. Okay. 3 feet deep. That's pretty deep. 10 foot deep pool at intersection. Oh yeah. DC 15 athletics to climb out of sewage. So I think I'm going to give that athletics or acrobatics. Because I think they could, like, kind of balance as they're pulling themselves out. I guess it's slippery, right, is the idea of why it's hard to get out. I like the idea of it's hard to get out. Pipe, easier to cross. We'll worry about that later. So if that's a 15, I want that to be a 17. And I want that to be a 19. So maybe that should be a 13, 15, and 17, because those are some very high DCs. I don't want them to be that high. But yeah, I like that. So I think that just has to be... I think both athletics or acrobatics work for all of those. Because it's like, it's a matter of both, right? You got to be acrobatic and athletics. And athletic. One to make the jump, the other to not slip and fall. Really, honestly, they should probably all be acrobatics, huh? I don't think acrobatics was a check in 4th edition, which is why I'm thinking, because it's all balance. Yeah, no, I like this. I like that a lot. I'll say that, like, maybe for the jump they can use athletics, because if they just throw themselves all the way over, they can roll with that. But otherwise, there's a lot of slipperiness. And we have the grate, which I'm just going to describe. I don't think I need to put any more detail on that. It gives, like, hit points and stuff, which I don't care. Like, it says the grate has the following statistics. Reflex, 4. How does it have any reflex? It's a grate. It's a metal bars. Anyway. So yeah, that's encounter 2. We're going to have our dudes there. Should be good. And we can get ready for encounter 3. Zooming out, scrolling down. And Nightshade's lair. Nightshade, the adult black dragon. Oh, okay. I see how this is going to go. There's a dragon. Okay, sure. Shiba, I like the idea that the Great was a mimic all along. But that's a little... That's mean. That's mean.
I thought the exact same thing when you said the Great had stats, Jeremy. From the kitchen, I was like, oh, the Great's a mimic.
Well, my girlfriend agrees with you. So, you know, I'm going to go back here. We're going to go to the Great.
Bionic Shiva has the right idea.
Great mimic? And we'll put a question mark. And here's a really important thing. When you're designing one-shots, figure out areas that you can make tougher or weaker. So in this encounter 2, right? I can make this encounter easier or tougher, depending on how the first encounter went, by removing one or even both of the Shadar-Kai Gloomstalkers. That'll make it easier, obviously. I can make it tougher by having the Great be a tougher mimic. And having those things in mind that on the fly as a DM you can fudge around are really important. And of course, it will always be tougher if Fatale escapes from the first encounter and is in this encounter. So it's really important for you as a Dungeon Master running one of these one-shots to realize these areas, these breakpoints that you can make tougher or less tough. Because in the end, you don't want to just kill them after the first encounter. You know? You want them to get to the end of the one-shot and then have the adult black dragon destroy them. That's where you can kill them. You want them to get through the first 2 encounters, maybe harrowing, maybe a little violent, but you want them to get through. Excuse me. So, anywho, yeah, let's look at encounter 3. We got an adult black dragon. Set up. The party slogged its way through the sewers to the lair of the true mastermind behind the poisoned shadows, a black dragon, Nightshade. Upon entering, the PCs get the false impression that they'll have a chance to explore the room and the mushroom patch, only they quickly realize they've fallen into Nightshade's ambush instead. The PCs from the pipe to they enter from the pipe to the west, hides under the murky water, and don't place the dragon until the PCs can see her. Cool. And then we're going to look at our text. When the players reach the end of the pipe, read. Let me go down to my notepad. Glowing moss covers the ceiling of this room, filling it with dim light. Mushrooms grow on the southern ledge, and a part of the northeastern ledge has crumbled away. A barrel bobs in the holding pool, caught in an eddy of swirling sewage. This room smells particularly acrid. Acrid meaning acidic. or kind of, yeah. So, Jay, I noticed I can't look at the direct messages right now because I'm running this. But I'll respond to you once the stream's over, bud. I can see the Discord is going crazy right now, but I'm a little caught up with this right now. But afterwards, I'll give you a minute, man. And yeah, so PCs notice a metallic glint in mushrooms of platinum. So that gets them excited. They go explore the mushrooms, and then there's no way they're going to see the perception check, so I'm just not even going to put it on there. I guess, you know what? On a nat 20, I'm going to give it to him. Nat 20, a large scaled black snout pokes out from underneath the sewage in the central pool. Boop. But hopefully they don't notice that, because I want the dragon to be a sweet ambush. And I will type perception here. Perception, nat 20. And, so portraying the dragon, it gives you some insight as to how you may want to run the dragon. I don't know. I mean, unless chat has some particular suggestions, I think I'm just going to run a generic kind of, I am super powerful black dragon, kind of your stereotypical enemy. I like to make things very straightforward in Delves, pretty much. Just because it's easier. And it talks about tactics, gives the stats for Nightshade, and features of the area. So it also gave the stats for the mushroom in there, but dude, it's a mushroom. Like, it just explodes. I'm just gonna make it a trap. So I'm gonna make a note there. Mushrooms are spore trap. Alrighty. Alrighty, so looking here, features of the area, illumination, moss coating the ceiling, dim illumination. Alright, so dim light from moss on ceiling. Cool. Ceiling is 20 feet high, don't care. Honestly, actually, I like the idea of a high arched ceiling. 40 feet. So I'm going to make it much higher in this kind of confluence of sewage, because I want the dragon to be able to fly. That's like a feature the dragon has is very important, and I think it's going to be really cool. Pipe. It's interesting they mention the pipe here, right? Because it says 10-foot diameter pipe, that's where they came from. They can make checks to like jump out or whatever and not fall in, but the dragon's not going to immediately ambush them. The dragon wants them to get out of the pipe and go over to the mushrooms and proc the trap. So I don't think this is ever going to matter. Like, the dragon's going to let them get out of the pipe. So I'm not even going to worry about that at all, because it doesn't matter. Now, if one of the players leaps out and rushes over to the mushrooms like an idiot, and everyone else is still in the pipe and doesn't go after them, maybe I'll worry about this, but I'm not gonna plan for the pipe to be a big deal. Acid burst mushrooms. Whatever. It says a dungeoneering check to recognize the trap and the danger they pose. So DC 16 nature check to identify as dangerous. What if they try to run back into the pipe? Oh shit, that's an excellent point. That being said, I think that'd be a terrible move against a dragon with a breath weapon, but that's a very good point, Shiba. I'm going to put a little note there on the pipe. DC 16 athletics to climb back into pipe. I said 15, I'm going to make that a 16, and there we go. Nice and simple, just a little bit harder, you know. Or else fall in sewage. These are just little notes for me. I'm not writing this like I'd write a module or anything. I'm just making notes so that I know what to throw on Roll20. So, yeah. But yeah, thank you, Shiba, for that. I didn't even consider a player trying to retreat. Which, I guess if all of them do it, it's bad. But if one of them does it, it's really good. So, that's a fair point. Sewage, it's the same sewage as before. Gonna just throw that right there. Rubble, there's rubble. I don't care about the rubble. I zoomed too far. A barrel, she keeps her hoard in the airtight barrel. I don't care. Consult your player's wish lists for an appropriate magic item. Thank you, 4th edition. I didn't realize that was actually a thing. Yeah, so nice and simple. I'm not going to worry too much about the barrel. Maybe I can do something interesting with the barrel. Maybe make it like an explosive barrel or something. I don't know. We'll worry about it later. So, that's it. That's the last part, and then Deceitful Descent, which is Delve 9. So, with that, we have completed going through that. We have all of our notes for our 3 encounters. And it is just about time to... Let me scroll back up to the top. So, again, the most important facet here is we're going to have Fatale, our Shadar-Kai witch, and we're going to want her to survive if possible. We're going to want her to escape and go from encounter 1 to encounter 2 to encounter 3. Okay, so I guess we're having more item things here. Okay, so we're giving him bagpipes. What do the bagpipes do? In barrel treasure hoard. Bagpipes of... What do the bagpipes do, guys? Are these like bagpipes of haunting, like the pipes of haunting? Or are they bagpipes of the sewers? I think they might be of the sewers. Hit me up if you got better ideas for what these magical bagpipes do. Are they the bagpipes of stealth? I love the bagpipes of stealth. We'll come back to that in a minute. So anyway, yeah, our goal, like I said, is to try and get Fatale to survive. If the players kill Fatale, that is okay. Don't be that dungeon master that DM bullshit saves their monster every time, because that is the most frustrating thing in the world. When a player, like, rightfully defeats a monster, and then you have them DM bullshit escape. So, if they're gonna escape, make sure they escape fairly. Stealthy sewage traversing. We'll figure out what these bagpipes do. Bagpipes of Hold Monster. Holy shit, those are powerful bagpipes. Anywho, so I've cleaned up the maps. I've taken the little icons and symbols off of them, and I have put them up here on Roll20. Now, if I hear back from Wizards of the Coast saying that I can distribute these maps, I have them for every delve that we've done so far, and I will continue to do them for each delve. But if Wizards says that I can distribute these, radical. I will make them available on our website, but currently they are just mine. Sorry, everyone. If you really want to, like, do a bad screenshot of the Twitch stream, feel free. So as I zoom in, the first thing I want to do is I want to set up dynamic lighting. So I zoom way in. I go to the page toolbar up here. I hit page settings. I go down to dynamic lighting and I hit enabled, enforce line of sight, only update on drop, and restrict movement. Those are my 4 basic settings. Restrict movement keeps enemies, or keeps characters from moving their character pieces through dynamic lighting, meaning only you as a DM can move them through a dynamic lighting block. Very important to do that, as it just is good. It keeps them from accidentally wandering into other areas. Only update on drop means a player has to commit to a movement before it shows them what they see from the dynamic lighting. Enforced line of sight just means their character can only see what their character piece sees. It's pretty bad if that's off. That defeats most of the purpose of dynamic lighting. And enable just turns it on. So, boop. And you can see everything slightly grayer now. So the first thing I'm going to want to do is I want to go to this little art library section, and I'm going to search Torch. Roll20 has a ton of free assets to use. I don't care about you or that. I'm going to go to the free assets from the web. Or actually, what's free assets? An adventurer. I don't care. So go to the web here, and I'm going to just pick a torch. I don't know. This. You're my torch thing. Lovely. That's a nice actual little torch. Little burning light. So I'm going to click on it. I'm going to tell it emits light in 40/20. That is a torch. I'm going to give it has sight for now, which doesn't matter. This is just so we can test our dynamic lighting. And we throw it around and we can see, oh, look, the light. Great. Oops. Oh, I'm on the object and token layer, and our map is also there. So we're going to right-click on our map, and layer, send to map layer. So now we can move around the torch without worrying about clicking on the map. And we can see our grid is nicely over the map, which is kind of what we want. So I've just thrown this on the table, and that's great because this is our lantern. Remember we talked about a lantern sitting on the table? Well, now we have it. However, I kind of want it to be a shuttered lantern. So I'm going to just have it be 0 and 20 feet. Oh, that didn't work at all. 20 and 20 feet? No, that's all light, bright light. 20 and 0 feet. No. How did I screw this up? Wait a minute. Light radius, start of dim light is 20. That should work. Oh, it is working. It's just very hard to tell. Alright, so that is dim light. If I turn on, move GM opacity up a little bit. God, that's really hard to tell. We're going to go back to a regular torch. Regular torch is easier to see. Alright, we got a torch again. We'll figure it out later. So now I'm going to go into the dynamic lighting layer, which is go into this little box, scroll down to dynamic lighting. And we are going to go to the draw icon here and go to polygon line. Always do extra large lines when you're doing these borders, and pick a bright color you will know. So I'm going to pick yellow because bright color is very obvious. I'm going to hold shift and I'm going to start right here. Always pick a spot a little bit away, and because I'm holding shift, it's going to clip directly to the edges. So I can just hold shift and click, generally speaking, where I want them to go. And I always overlap my lines a little bit to guarantee we have a nice solid block. And there we go. We're done. The dynamic lighting's all set up. You can see, if I go back to the object and token layer, if I move this torch around, dynamic lighting seems to be working correctly. We can see if I move all the way to this corner, we have shadows over there, which is nice. And if I move it all the way over here, we have shadows over there, which is nice. So I'm going to actually put it here. I like the idea of the lantern being on that corner. And actually, I wonder if there's a cool lantern. I doubt it. But if there is, I'd like to use it. Close premium assets, go to web. Yeah, these aren't too bad. Let's see about you. Yeah, that's not awful. But that, I can't really tell that's a lantern. That's the problem. You gotta be able to tell it's a lantern. I think I can tell that's a lantern. So we're going to take that and throw it over there. And wow, we're going to go to that lantern. Has sight. And we're going to go 20 and 10. It's a shuttered lantern. It gives a little less light. That's not good. 40, 20 again. Whatever. It's just like a regular torch, but it's a lantern. So we got our torch, our lantern set up over there. I'm going to actually double click on it. And here I'm going to say show nameplate. Lantern, and I'm going to say that all players can see the nameplate. So now they know. Oh god, that looks terrible. The lantern's gone. We're getting rid of the nameplate. I've changed my mind, everyone. So I'm going to move that lantern a little bit off direct center. I'm holding Alt to move things to make it so it doesn't clip to a grid, basically. And then if I click on it, I can do the tint color, which this always looks terrible, but now it's slightly red. Oh, that's so bad. We're going to get rid of the tint. So we've got a lantern in the corner that gives off light. We kept our torch here because maybe I'll use this later on. What other dynamic lighting do we need in here? I don't know if we need anything, really. I think actually, oh wait, yes we do. I go to polygon line tool again. Oh, I need to make sure I'm on the dynamic lighting layer. So I go back to dynamic lighting, polygon line tool, click on my yellow, and I'm going to pick somewhere halfway on the stairs here. And actually, the easiest way to do this is I'm just holding shift, and I'm clicking again. But I don't want it to be the whole area, so I'm going to hold Alt, and then use my arrow keys to just shift it over a little bit. So it's only covering some of the stairs. That way, it is a little less bright, and there we can see a little bit of the shadow from the stairway, implying there's a little bit of a wall here, which the players won't be able to see or move through, which is going to be great. So there's our easy entrance. Nice and simple. Yeah, so there's part one. This is going to be the grate they escaped from. So let's head over to our next area, which we can see we have connected this. I'm going to go to the GM layer, and I'm going to just draw a simple line so that I don't get confused. I'm going to use this teal color, and I'm just going to go bop, so I know that goes to there. Nice and simple. I'm going to go back to dynamic lighting, go to this bright yellow. Oh gosh, wait, I messed something up. And you know why? Because, whoops, this is still on the token layer, this whole map. So I'm going to right click and set it to the map layer. And now I'm going to go back to dynamic lighting and I can see it clearly. Everything here is very blocky, so I'm going to hold shift and begin to just draw my lines, because I can just do that, which is great. And again, I'm using a very, very simple strategy of just holding shift to clip to the edges. If I didn't want to clip to the edges, I could just stop holding shift. And again, I'm going to cross them over just to totally fill that out. And we are set. Now I can see here that we've got a little bit of overhang from the map above and a little bit of underhang from below. And I think that's just a matter of how this map was set up and designed. So I'm just going to go back to the map layer. I'm going to go to the select tool, click on the map, hold Alt, and just pop it down a little bit. And that's it. Done. Nice and simple. Our dynamic lighting stays wherever it was. Yeah, dynamic lighting can be a lot of fun. It's not like required, but I like it. Is there any other dynamic lighting we need in here? I don't think there is. This is a very simple kind of setup. But there are a few things we do need. We need our torch. Oh, we're going to throw it back here. But we don't want people to see it as a torch, and we only want it to be a dim glimmer of light. So it's 5 and 10 feet. Whoops. 10 feet, only 5 foot of bright. We're going to throw it back here. And actually, you know what? I'm going to move it up there and make it even less. Make it like 7 or 5 and 2.5. I don't know if that actually works, but looks like it does. So the implication, the reason I'm doing this, right, and I'm going to stretch it across the whole area, is I want this to represent the light glimmering out of that passage. So I'm going to make a copy over here just so I still have something to play with. And I'm going to right click on that. Well, actually, I'm not going to right click. I'm going to right click and copy. I'm going to go to the dynamic lighting layer. I'm going to right click paste. And now this exists on the dynamic lighting layer and the tokens layer. If I go back to tokens and delete it, we still see the light because it exists on the dynamic lighting layer. This is super important. It's super nice. And actually it allows me to mess with it a little bit and hopefully can make it a little nicer. Anyway, so the idea is we see a glimmer of light coming through here. I don't know. I like it. Cool. So we have a little bit of light poking through there and a guttering torch, which we wanted right there. So with our guttering torch, we want about 10 feet and 5 feet. It's a dying torch up ahead. So our players will see the torch and all is good. We're on option token still, so let's go to our third map. Excuse me. Right click, layer, map layer. That's important so we just don't screw with it. And then we go dynamic lighting, and we're going to do the same thing we've been doing the whole time, holding shift. Bop, bop, bop. Oh, I screwed that up. I'm going to click back a little bit. Keep drawing our big boxes. And then the pipe actually is going to need to do some dynamic lighting here. So once again, we're going to click, 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 click. And then we're going to click on those two and holding Alt, shift them back. Perfect. So now they will block some of that site. I'm going to go to the GM info layer, go again to my polygon draw tool, and just realize that that is going to go to here, just so that I know that that connects to there and that connects to there, so that we can follow where everything connects. And there is no, actually there is lighting. There is expressly dim lighting all throughout her layer. So we're going to go in here and we're going to type 1000 and 0. So this fills the room with dim light, or is it, I think it's dim light. Yes. Okay. 1000 fills the room with dim light. Or maybe not 1000, maybe 500. Doesn't matter. And we're gonna stick that right here. Go across the whole thing. We're gonna right click, we're gonna copy it with right click, copy. Go to dynamic lighting, right click, paste. And move it back to where we had it. Go back to objects and tokens and delete it. So now we have the light in that room, but we don't have the picture of the fire. That doesn't make sense. And with that, we have successfully finished setting up all of our dynamic lighting. It's super easy. That took us, what, 15 minutes, I think? And that'll look really nice when we have a character running around doing all their stuff. So, scrolling up to the top. I have a ton of comments in Discord right now. I hope none of them are bad. I hope they're not like, Jeremy, your audio's been off for the last hour. Because that would be bad. Anyway, so I'm going to zoom out. And now that we have dynamic lighting on, let's go to the page toolbar. I'm going to click on page settings. I'm going to make the background completely black. And I'm going to make that completely transparent. So now, we don't see the grid. And the background is nice and dark. I like this. I really don't like the glaring white background that Roll20 has by default. I feel like it's kind of blinding. And maybe we don't need to do black for this. Maybe we can just do like a very dark gray. Oh, I hate that. Oh god. Let's make it the black. Okay. But anyway, this makes it nice and straightforward, nice and simple. Since these already have the grids on them, we don't need extra grid overlaying. But yeah, good stuff. So we're back up at the top here at the basement, and I think it's time for us to start figuring out what we want to do. So for encounter 0, I don't need to really put anything on the map for it. That's them yelling at Waluigi in Waluigi's Wondrous Wares. However, for encounter, oh, actually, there's something else I need to do. I need to make it a little wider here so that I have room to put notes. So all I did was extend the width of the map, so I have this extra black area here that I can write notes for myself. So, encounter 1, basement. So, these are all of my notes. I'm gonna copy them, and actually I'm just gonna copy the whole deal, and I'm gonna go to GM info overlay layer. Only the Dungeon Master can see those layers. I'm gonna click text, change it to white, click, and paste. And boom. All of my notes are now in Roll20. Only I can see them. They a little bit go over the side, but I think that's okay. And there we go. All of my notes are right here. Hooray. Is there anything I forgot? 3 pale tattooed humanoids. We'll get to that in a second. The wine rack, which is over here. Cool. Chest. Ooh. That's what I forgot. I forgot a chest. So we scroll up. Chest. You can see I actually removed the chest from this map. So I'm just going to go down to from the web. Wow. Unsurprisingly, there are plenty of treasure chests on the web. That looks like a mimic. Yeah, let's just take the first one. I don't really care too much. Oh, I'm still on the GM layer. So I'm going to have to right click and move it to the map layer, and now all the players can see that there's a treasure chest there. Easy peasy. This one actually looks like it might fit better. Yeah, it does. I like that one a lot more. So we're going to move that one to the map layer, and I'm going to go back to the map layer and get rid of that guy. There we go. Done. Nice and simple. I'm not as senile as you once thought, Plunder. Blood. Or is that Sheba? I see. Well, Jay, just good luck on your stream. I didn't realize you streamed. Cool, so we got encounter 1. Encounter 2, I'm gonna once again copy my notes. Scrolling, oh, gate equals mimic. I go back to GM info layer, copy and paste. Wow, easy peasy. Because I made it white text, it stands out really well over the black. And I mean, I can change the font if I really cared. Maybe I find one that is not horrible. All right, that one's pretty good because that stands out a little better. Why is it being bad? All right. So, what? Encounter 2, I got all my notes. And then encounter 3, I'm going to do the same thing here. Notes, paste, and bada boom. So I got all my notes here. All my notes are on the map, easy to read. Cool. So we can now close or get rid of the notepad for now. And it's time to start talking about our beasties, our monsters. I love the monsters. So here I've already imported and figured out everything. I've edited what needs to be edited, and I've made base template character monster sheet stuff. So from here, it's going to be figuring out what the monsters are actually going to be. So let's start with not actually the Shadowkai Witch, because she's more complicated. She's going to be our important kind of, hopefully important character that they chase. Let's start with the Shadowkai Warriors. So, Shadowkai Warrior. If you know what this symbol is, this icon, then you know what I base this on. This is the Shadow Dancer, a monster from Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes. It is a Shadowkai Warrior. Whoa! They fight using this cool chain. It has their base stats, their CR 7, which, for those unfamiliar, challenge rating 7 means this is an appropriate monster for a level 7 party to fight. About. Not always. So this is a pretty reasonable monster. The difference is this particular excuse me. Oh, excuse me. This particular monster is very, very powerful. I know this from experience. This character is a little overpowered for what a CR7 monster should be. So I've gone through and I've adjusted it a teeny bit. I've gone through its spiked chain. Basically, when it attacks, it can pick an ability to go with its chain attack. Make 3 chain attacks, and those attacks either do necrotic damage, extra necrotic damage, grapple creatures, or knock them prone. These two are pretty reasonable. They're not like more or less powerful than the other. The necrotic damage is so powerful. It's supposed to be 4d10, and it's supposed to be able to do that every turn with every attack, which is absurd. That's so powerful. So I've gone through and just said, yeah, you know what? Let's give that a recharge and make it 3d10. I've made it a little less overpowered because doing an extra 9d10 every turn between your 3 attacks is broken as heck. And this is still going to be very powerful, but it's going to be a little less very powerful. And it's going to give the enemy something to, the player something to really attack that isn't just our poor Fatale. So we're going to drag these guys onto the map. Oh, I'm still on the GM layer. My bad. Go back to objects and tokens. Boop, boop. And I will drag the Shadowkai onto the map. And there will be one more hiding under the stairs. We're going to move that one to the GM layer. And there are our 3 Shadowkai Warriors. I don't think we need 4. We'll see. And then we're going to have Fatale, so we will have 4 anyway. So let's scroll down to look at Fatale. First, before I even talk about what template I used for Fatale, because this is a named monster with special abilities. This isn't just something that they're going to reprint in a book. So realize that when you're converting a named creature like this, odds are it's very likely you're going to need to go through and actually give it custom abilities, which are fine, because most of the time you can just take the custom abilities right out. So let me look at it. So we got not a lot of health, not a lot of armor, very human. Blackfire Torch, yeah, I don't care what that is really. It's just I attack, it does some damage. Beshadowed Mind, this is cool. It's got a recharge with a powerful ability, at least it should be. It does something versus Will, which is basically a wisdom saving throw in 5th edition. Does damage, and the target cannot see more than 2 squares away from it. So it reduces a character's sight to 10 feet. That is really important. I really like that. I think that's really cool. I don't know how the hell to do that using Roll20. So I think what I'm going to do with that is I'm going to make an ability like that that just says you cannot see Fatale. You are blind to Fatale. So if Fatale uses Beshadowed Mind and hits a creature, then Fatale cannot be seen by that creature until the end of the creature's next turn. So I like that. I think that's cool. And I think that'll make things a little more interesting, right? Ways for Fatale to protect themselves and not die. Especially helpful if it doesn't do a ton of damage. Deep Shadow. Sustain, minor, encounter. Okay, these are weird. Writhing Shadows. Does necrotic damage in an aura. Okay, so 4th edition had a lot of these. I have a monster that does aura damage around itself. And those suck. Auras just suck. Auto damage to players is the least fun. It's so frustrating. If you're a character with a very high AC, it just was like, okay, so I got all this AC and it just doesn't matter. And if you're a spellcaster, it's like, oh, I'm trying to concentrate on my spells and I just automatically take damage, even though I like positioned myself really well and expended resources to like cast shield and whatnot. It just is awful. So I'm not going to do this. I hate this so much. So that's going away. And Shadow John, she teleports. Besides that, she can't really do a lot. So we need to replace this Deep Shadow with some other abilities. So let's open the template for Fatale. If you've seen this icon before, you'll also know it from Mordenkainen and Stone of Foes. I took the Gloom Weaver, which is a challenge rating 9 monster. Pretty appropriate, I think, for a mini boss character at level 7. Has good AC with mage armor, which, let's be real, she's got her mage armor. We're gonna flavor it as like a shadow armor because they're Shadow Kai. Why not, right? Immunity to necrotic damage, basic saves, whatever. This is fine. Spellcasting. She can actually cast spells. Burden of Time. Creatures other than her have disadvantage on saving throws while within 10 feet of her. This is like a less dumb version of Deep Shadow. It's an aura around her, but instead of just doing a tiny amount of frustrating damage, it empowers her abilities to actually be more impactful. So, really cool, and it only discourages people who come up to her. Because again, we want people to stay away from Fatale so Fatale can escape. And then Fey Ancestry is just a classic all else get Fey Ancestry. They can't be put to sleep. Great, another tool so that she doesn't get sleep spelled. I don't know. Not a lot of things put things to sleep. Multi-attack. The Gloomweaver makes 2 spear attacks. Has a really powerful spear. Holy shit. And casts 1 spell that takes an action to cast. That is so strong. Alright, she's tough. 4d12. Oh my god. Alright. And then she has Misty Escape, which is her equivalent of Shadow John. When she takes damage, she can teleport away and become invisible. So I think that's how, like, when she needs to use Misty Escape, that's how she teleports away. Let's look at what spells she has. Minor Illusion, alright, we don't care about that. Prestidigitation, don't care about that. Chill Touch, we kind of care. Eldritch Blast, I don't think we really care. Cool. I like to narrow this down because, to be frank, I don't want a whole ton of options here. I want this to be as easy to run as possible. Giving her, like, 6 cantrips, like, I don't want 6 cantrips. I want her 1 cantrip. And Chill Touch is a great cantrip because it blocks healing. So let's look at the next stuff. At level 1, Mage Armor, pretty good. All right. Bane, I like the idea of her like cursing players. That really is witchy. Armor of Agathis, very powerful. This is one of the great ways we'll keep her alive and prevent and discourage people from getting up and attacking her. Is Armor of Agathis. It gives her temporary hit points and automatically does damage to creatures that hit her. So that's really important. Specifically hit her in melee. So, great spell to choose from. Stick it on there. Sweet. She's going to be using that a lot, I imagine. And using some of her higher level spell slots. Level 3, Darkness, Invisibility. I don't think we're going to use these very often, but maybe they're like an escape tool. Fear. Fear is actually a pretty strong spell, but shrug emoji. Hypnotic Pattern is a really powerful CC spell. I don't think I ever want to use it, but maybe. Major Image is an illusion spell. It makes sense for a smart enemy to use illusion spells against players like effectively. So I think we use this like much later in the adventure. So if Fatale escapes to the Dragon Chamber, maybe Fatale uses Major Image to make the illusion of a dragon on top of the pipe that they just came out of, in hopes that the players blow their spells on the illusion, which would be brutal. I don't think I'm ever going to use Hypnotic Pattern. It's really frustrating. Anything that just disables a character for a round isn't fun. Fear isn't fun either, but it's a little... I think it's more fun than Hypnotic Pattern. And it's better, I think. But anyway. Yeah, there are 2 dragons! And then level 4, Arcane Eye and Blight. Blight is just like a pretty powerful spell. And Arcane Eye I particularly like because it's... if she gets away and the players decide to take like a short rest or something, Arcane Eye is the way that she can kind of keep tabs on them without them knowing. And I like having that even if the players never know she has it. But yeah, it seems like a kind of tense moment here, right, for the escape, for like the chase. But the players know that the Poison Shadows have their headquarters in this sewers. They know that they can't just pack up and bail on the headquarters because a couple of adventurers are coming. So I think the party hopefully will realize they can take a short rest during this adventure. They have no level 5 spells. There were a few. I removed them. I didn't think they were worthwhile to keep tracking. And 1 level 6 spell, True Seeing, which I'm probably going to use to cast Armor of Agathis, to be frank. But at the very least, it can be useful to see through characters that may try and befuddle her with illusions like Blur or Invisibility. So, pretty good. I think in practice, I might make that 1 spear attack instead of 2. We'll see. I don't really know how tough these characters are going to be. We'll check it out. I think Fatale bails as soon as like one of the other Shadow Kai goes down, or if she takes more than like a quarter of her health. I think she bails. So Fatale's going to keep retreating. Yeah, and I think that's just her plan. So she won't really be all that threatening. Until the final battle where this plus the dragon, oh shit. Plus, if the players take a short rest, so does Fatale, which is great. Cool, so Fatale, oh wait, we were going to work on some other abilities for her. Beshadowed Mind. Let's turn that into a spell. Or we could make that a recharge. What do you guys think? The terror aspect... oh, yeah, no, dude, I'm down. Oh, Blindness, Deafness. That might not be bad. Blindness, Deafness is a really good spell because it's not a concentration, so you can just keep on blinding and deafening. Is that in the SRD? I don't want to type it in. Yeah, it is. Oh, boy. Why is it in there twice? All right, well, whatever. Let's just, yeah. Plunder, you've convinced me. She can blind and deafen people. Or maybe she can't. All right, there we go. So we got Blindness, Deafness on there. Shadowed Mind would be a fun spell. Yeah, I think so as well. You know, I was just thinking, when we start homebrewing some spells, like, this might not be a bad place to start, is going through the old delves and seeing what special powers some of the monsters have. A spell that does a little damage, but then you are invisible to the target, pretty good. And that's something that really doesn't exist for 5e, I think. So, let's give her a spell called Beshadowed Mind. It does a little damage. It's invisibility only to a target. I think that's a level 2 spell. So, Beshadowed Mind. And I like the idea of making this a spell. Oh yeah, absolutely. They definitely see through that with True Sight. I don't know about Devil's Sight, but True Sight definitely. But Shadow Mind, I think it's got to be Illusion, right? It says Necromancy here. Oh, it does necrotic damage, but I think it's an illusion spell because it's distorting the mind. It's trickery of the mind. Casting time, 1 action. Range, what's our range there? 10? Oh, whew, very little. All right, I like that. 1 creature. 1 creature. It's probably a verbal component. Maybe somatic. There's some hand gestures that go in with it. I like that. Concentration? No, it's not concentration. And probably 1 round is the thing. Spellcasting ability is going to be, what's her, charisma, I think? Yeah, definitely charisma. Alright, so spellcasting ability, and target must, I'm going to write this in super shorthand, because it's going to be really easy. Succeed on wisdom saving. Is wisdom what we want? Maybe intelligence, right? Because it's kind of an illusion. I like intelligence here, actually. Because it's got psychic damage. And I think I'm going to make it psychic instead of necrotic. Because I like that more. Saving throw. Or take 2d6 psychic damage. Must succeed on intelligence. A Fatale becomes invisible to each. No. Until the end of the creature's next turn. Target's next turn. On failure. Under the target next turn. Fatale is invisible to the target. Nice and simple. I'm not going to worry too much here. I'm actually going to just say it's instantaneous. And then at higher levels, oh, I cast it. Cool. At higher levels, 1 + 1 additional target per spell level. Cool. So I like this idea. I don't think it's too much damage. Should be good. You can give it a material component of ginger root for the mental tie-in. Maybe like if we were actually building this spell for Bruise, which would be cool to do sometime. I'd be down, but I think in this case I'm not gonna, just because yeah, I just don't have time. Basically, I'm not gonna worry about it yet. We'll worry about it in Bruise when we actually brew this spell up, because I want to make this as an actual spell people can pick. That would actually be sweet. Ginseng too. Yeah, you know what? A pinch of ginseng. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we'll be doing spell brews. I haven't thought about it. Oh, I spelled ginseng wrong. Whoop! I can't type, guys. Cool. So, boop. Great. We got that set up. And actually, let me reorder these. I hate that they aren't in alphabetical order. And I put that, this is normally used for prepared spells. I just put little dot on there so that I know it's there. Like, that's one of her signature abilities, is Beshadowed Mind. So, I think this will be a pretty good beastie here. I mean, all we've done is taken a regular monster here and given her one custom spell. And honestly, I think this is going to be a pretty cool monster. I'm actually really into it, so. I also made her Misty Escape a recharge. I don't know if it always was. I don't think it was. That was one change I made, so she can escape a little more frequently. Is there anything else? I'm really worried this is going to be way too much damage. That's hit so hard. An average of 26. Like, holy crap. Whatever, she runs away. Plus, they're going to have 3 of these boys to worry about, so. Well, if she kills all my players, she's a monster. So yeah, we'll drag Fatale onto the map. Fatale standing on top of the treasure chest. Probably was going through it right when the players showed up. And yeah, great. So we've got our first battle figured out. Let's scroll down to our next one. Our first deal is we want Maiko, our Oni Night Hunter. So we're going to right-click, move him to the jam layer, because they don't see him immediately. Instead, I'm going to just search Old Man McWizard Face. Commoner. Alright, we'll just search Commoner. And let's scroll down. Alright, that's not really working. Corpse? Oh god, so many corpses. Alright, here we go. This is an acceptable old man. We're gonna make him smaller. Over by the torch. We're gonna move the torch so it's like in his hand. Make that torch a little smaller. So it's more like torch sized. And there we go. So we got our old guy here who's like, "Urgh," but that's actually secretly the Oni. That's our kind of trick. We're gonna trick him. We're not gonna actually trick him. There's no way in hell. Let's look at the Oni, because he's kind of our centerpiece in this fight. Oni, 16 armor class. That's perfectly reasonable. A bunch of hit points, whatever. Can fly, do some other stuff. Blah blah blah. Spell casting. Can cast a bunch of spells once per day and regenerate some hit points, so that should be cool. Oni has claws and a glaive. One thing I want to do right off the bat, get rid of that. Okay, so the glaive, let's get rid of that because all that matters is that first slash. 2 attacks, either with its claws or its glaive. Does this Oni have a glaive? I don't think this Oni has a glaive, but I think it does have claws, because I don't think it's an old man lying on the ground with a fucking glaive. Like, it's just not threatening. There shouldn't even have a helper. Yeah, all right, and we'll have the Oni also retreat, and then it'll be just the worst fight with the dragon. They'll just all die. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat. Old man Jenkins token, elderly undead. Repeatedly purge all the non-artist elderly. Oh no. Cool. Change shape. So that's what his action to transform back into the Oni. And then let's look at his abilities. So we can cast these once per day. Charm, Sleep, Darkness, Invisibility, Gaseous Form, and Cone of Cold. Sweet. Radical. Cone of Cold's a real great spell. In this one, it has a Hypnotic Breath, which knocks people unconscious and then kills people while they're unconscious. That is so unfun to play against, even though it's kind of a big deal for this monster. I hate it. But, so I'm not going to do it. It keeps Deceptive Veil. It can transform into a humanoid. It keeps Gaseous Form as one of its spells that it can pick. So this is pretty much the real deal, just a regular Oni. The difference is, instead of having this Morning Star, which pushes people around, it has its claws. Oh, the torch becomes a Morning Star. That's a really cool idea, actually. I like that. Yeah, screw these claws. With its... makes 2 attacks, period. I am totally in on that Forgotten one. I super dig that. Morning Star. Make an attack, melee, reach 5 feet. Or does it have more reach than that? It's got 10 feet. It's a big boy. Reach 2 in here basically just means reach 2 squares. Each square is 5 feet, so 10 feet. That's not a bad idea either. You know what? I'm in. Blood Deuce, you're selling me here. We'll do Hypnotic Breath too. That's actually a really cool idea. However, I think that would almost be better giving him the slow spell, right? Wouldn't it basically be the same deal? We'll figure it out. Maybe I get rid of one of his other spells to give him Hypnotic Breath. Oh, I mean, its effects are magical. Why did I make all these extra lines here? I'm bad. Cool. So Morning Star, to hit, it's going to be CR is 7, which is a +4. +4 from Strength is 8. So it's +8. +8. 1 target. Morning Star normally is going to do a D8 of damage. It's going to do 2D8 +4. The +4 is from his strength, and it's going to be 1D8 base, and then because he's a large creature, it's going to be 2D8. A creature hit by this attack is pushed 1 square. I super actually like that idea now, or pushed 5 feet. This is great because it allows the Oni to throw people into the gelatinous cube, just smack them into the cube or into the sewage, and that'll be fun. Actually, I dig that. The hypnotic breath. Just always have that. Slow. Yeah, it definitely would. My worry is just making way too brutal of an encounter because I also want to put a lot of oomph into the gelatinous cube. You know what I'll do? Let's get rid of Charm Person. I don't think we really need that here for this guy. He already has Sleep, which I don't like. So we'll get rid of Sleep. And we'll change Sleep into Slow, because I think that'll be more interesting. So we get rid of Sleep. And we're going to put Slow in there. Just slow down. You can turn invisible at will. Oh, shit. Okay. Radical. Low save DC too, so it's okay if we give this guy a little more oomph. Like, he's got Cone of Cold is a really powerful spell, but his save DC is only 13, so I'm not really all that worried. Let's open up Slow, drag it on, and there we go. We gave him Slow now. And he's got all of those once per day, so once I've just used them, we're good. And he's got unlimited of these, so I can't type infinite. Dash, there we go. And I'm just gonna mark he's only got one of these. Oops. He's only got one of those. So perfect. Slow spell with eye contact, Gaze of the North. I mean, that's a sick name for an ability. Yeah, all right, I buy it. I dig it. I super dig it. And then I'll just make a note to myself for hypnotic breath that he breathes for his slow. He just kind of, and that gets you. Swag. So we got Maiko, the Oni Night Haunter. I guess he's not really much of a Night Haunter anymore, but he's a scary Oni. He's gonna mess people up real bad. Shatterkai Gloomblades. I don't know if you noticed this symbol, this little token. It is the Soulmonger, which is a challenge rating 13 monster. I have just stolen its icon. We're not going to put the Soulmonger in here as a monster. Instead, we are going to use just the Shatterkai Gloomblade, which has no attacks. That's because I took the base stats for the Shatterkai Warrior, and I just put them here. I named it the Shatterkai Gloomblade, and we're going to have to just put in its attacks, because there wasn't a Shatterkai that really fit what I wanted to do here. Alright, Shatterkai Gloomblade. So, these guys don't have a lot of health. Whatever, AC and stuff don't matter. They're so different between 4th and 5th edition, you can't even really look at them, unless you're looking at them relative to another monster. So, for example, you'll look at this, it's an AC of 20. Compare that to the Night Haunter, which is 24. Alright, so it's got to be less than the Oni. We look at the Oni's AC, blah, 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 and the Oni's got 16, so maybe these guys have a 15, or maybe we'll... Ooh, gosh, excuse me, I'm full of hiccups today, everyone. We'll make these a 14. A little easier to hit, whatever. Same amount of hit points. Or maybe we'll even have them have less hit points. These guys will be easy to kill. But maybe they hurt harder. If you're wondering why I've just changed the hit points the way I did, there's no reason. I'm just making them a little lower for when they roll. Keep their basic Shatterkai stuff, Ancestry and Shadow Jump. So, bonus action, they can teleport. Sweet. Cool. And they can teleport in dim light or darkness, so that's important to know. And let's think what they do. They have a great sword. Oh geez, I like daggers more. Gloom Strike hits the target, it's blinded until the Shatterkai Gloomblade's next turn. Oh my god, that's so frustrating. Oh hell no. Teleports 3 squares and becomes insubstantial. No, I hate everything here. God. Well, let's just give it a dagger. First of all. Dagger. And we'll give it a melee of 5 feet. Very straightforward. To hit, we're going to look at its dexterity. 3 plus 4 is 7. 1 target. 1d4 plus 3. Piercing again. 1d4 is a dagger's weapon die. And then 3 is its dexterity modifier. So what does this do? Well, it looks like it only makes one of these attacks each turn. Actually, it doesn't matter. Just Christ. Gloom Strike Dagger. These guys make one attack, and it does something really impactful. What is that really impactful thing? We could do Blind, because it's one attack. But Blind is like... anything that keeps players from doing something can be... can be a little frustrating. Maybe it gives creatures disadvantage on saving throws. Might not be a bad idea. What else? I'm trying to think of what a cool feature this could do. I could just Blind. Like, we could just go with Blind. I'm just hesitant. I'm reticent to just throw a Blind on there, especially since Fatale has blindness and other blinding effects. Yeah. I'm torn. Do you guys have any cool ideas in the chat? I'm into it. You know, I just saw your comment in the chat, Shiba. You see an old man lying on the ground, moaning in pain. I stab him repeatedly. Yeah, well, welcome to player characters right there. What the hell does a Gloom Strike Dagger do? You know what? I think that's what it does, right? It just gives... yeah, you know what? The next... yeah, a creature hit by this attack has disadvantage on saving throws until the end of its next turn. I like that idea. Or then at the end of its, end of the Gloom Stalker's next turn. I like this disadvantage on saving throw things because it further empowers Wisdom saving throw where they need to fight through the tears. Well, it's like that sadness, that Shadowfell despair. I feel like this is not a bad representation of it as a disadvantage on saving throws, at least mechanically speaking. I guess we'll roll with that for now. It empowers the Oni, who has a very low save DC. It empowers Fatale, and it might empower the Cube. We'll have to look at what the fuck the Cube does. So these guys are just little assassins. They're definitely weaker. You get the Gloomy Glooms condition. Anyway, and our last monster in this part of the fight, the massive gelatinous cube. All right, well, this is going to be hard, guys. I have just a regular old freaking gelatinous cube here that we have to somehow make massive. you get very sad. All right, so what's a gelatinous cube gonna do? So a gelatinous cube normally has how many hit points? Like what, 86? So it's got 6 armor class. So I think we're gonna keep that. We're gonna keep this thing like a small child could attack this monster and hit it. And it is large. That's not a regular gelatinous cube is large. This is gonna be gargantuan. Very large gelatinous cube. I think there was one of these cubes that in Storm King's Thunder I could have pilfered, but I think we'll just make our own massive gelatinous cube. Hit points. How are we gonna make this guy tougher? We're just gonna double his hit points. Bap. And 166. These guys do so much damage, or I know at least one of them does. We're gonna make these guys real big because he's got D20 hit dice now because he's a massive. He's a gargantuan creature. He's got a ton of hit points. Just a big sack of health. What else does he have? He's got these abilities. I like that. Speed. What's the speed? 15 feet? Holy shit, it moves 20 feet, guys. Actually, 25, because it's so large, it just, by default, moves faster. Ooze Cube takes up an entire space. Blah, blah, blah. Subject to the cube. Disadvantage saving throw. Total cover. Okay, so let's talk now about this saving throw. How strong is the gargantuan gelatinous cube? So I guess the real question here is, do we just want this to be a way more health crappy gelatinous cube, or do we want this to be like a bigger cube? So let's jump that up. Let's move its challenge rating up to like 5. And let's start working on this. So DC is going to be 8, plus the proficiency bonus for 5, which is 3, so 11. Plus the strength, which is going to be an additional 3. That moves it to a 14. Strength saving throw, and it's going to take way more acid damage than that. I'm going to make that 8d6 acid damage. Oh, I don't think 8d6. 5d6 acid damage. Pretty good. 6 times 5 is 30, divided by 2, it's going to be 15. That's not quite right. 3.5 times 5 is 15 plus 2.5, 17 and a half. Cool. So 17 points of acid damage. Can hold up to 2 large creatures, or up to 8 medium or smaller creatures inside it at a time. Delightful. Cube. And then transparent. I think we keep this pretty much the same, except it has cover because it's under the water. So I think that's really a DC 20 to actually notice this, because it's got total cover. Pseudopod, we're going to just give this its normal thing, which is going to be 3 plus 3 is 6. It's going to do a bunch of acid damage. We're probably going to give it the 5d6 acid damage. Same exact kind of deal. We're going to give that a reach of 10 feet because it's very big. Or actually probably 15 feet because it's very big. And then engulf. The cube moves up to its speed. While doing so, it can enter a large... Oh, actually, so I guess if it moves up to its speed already from that attack, we'll move that back down to 20. Because we don't want this cube lurching at incredible speeds. Enter a huge or smaller creature spaces. Exceed on a DC. Again, the save is actually 14. And saving throw. On a save, blah, blah, blah. We're moving that to 5d6 and 17. And takes... we'll move that to 8d6. Which again, 8 times 3.5. So 8 times 3.5. Looking at 28 points of damage. And I say 3.5 because 3.5 is the average roll on a d6. So, what am I doing? DC 14 strength save, bada boom. So, engulf is all set. What is this? Oh, wow. So it takes this damage just to rescue someone from it. Oh, brutal. All right, swag. I super dig that. So our cube's pretty much set. It's just a big fucking cube. It's got a bunch of health. It is scary. I imagine this fight is going to end with them like up the ladder, terrified, shooting shit at the cube. We'll see though. This might be a murder. We might murder them all. In order to make you gargantuan. Oh, Jesus Christ. Layer, GM layer. We're going to move him slightly out of the way a little bit. We're going to take our R2 Gloom Blades. We're going to stick one up here. And one down there. Yeah. And we are ready for this brutal ambush. Jesus. Alright, so our players are going to be a little scared after that, I think. But we'll see what happens. Everything's on the GM layer, so in the Object and Tokens layer, players don't really see anything. And then we scroll down to our very last area. The dragon. We scroll down. Acid burst mushrooms. This is such a dumb fucking thing. It's like, there are mushrooms and they're a trap, but like, the players aren't gonna fucking rush in and attack the mushroom. Like, they're not gonna rush into the mushrooms. I don't know. That just seems dumb to me. Like, I don't understand. Maybe someone will be dumb enough if I search mushrooms and I throw some on there. I don't think anyone's gonna rush in and, like, go for fucking copper pieces in the mushrooms. It's such a dumb, like, concept, I think. In my opinion. I don't know. Maybe I'm being too harsh. There we go. There's our very obviously out of place mushrooms. Oh, great. That looks great right there. Trying to just make it, like, blend in a little bit with the surroundings, but there's just nothing you can do to make it look like it belongs here. Christ. Alright, well, whatever, man. There's the mushrooms, I guess. I overestimate my players. You know, I have one of those players. My old pal, Dangerous Bacon, Kyle. Kyle isn't dumb, but Kyle loves just being a troll and intentionally triggering all of these fucking traps. He just loves it. Especially if it gets his friends maimed in the process. Like, if it screws over the other players, he loves doing it. So you know what? Maybe someone. What if they fail a deck save, slip into mushrooms? Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. I hate these mushrooms. I really don't like that. Like, if it were everywhere, maybe that would be something, but it's like this tiny little spot of mushrooms with copper pieces in it. It's like, that's such a dumb trap for a dragon. Like, you know, that's the one thing that, like, if I really cared, I'd go through and make this a lot more interesting. But to be frank, I think they're gonna die at the second encounter. I'll be real. I don't think they're gonna survive this. I think they're just gonna, especially if Fatale escapes to here. This encounter, the first one, is gonna mess them up. It's gonna hurt them so bad. They're gonna be in such bad shape. So if they don't take a short rest immediately and they go into here, I think they're gonna die. If they do take a short rest and then move into here, well, this is gonna be an easy encounter. And then they get into here, if they don't take a second short rest, the dragon's going to just kill them. The dragon is a very high CR. So I haven't changed this dragon at all. Just an adult black dragon. And, like, I could look at what these abilities are. And honestly, it's fine. Whatever. It's got legendary actions. It's just a regular dragon. I think I'll give it the Bloodied Breath feature that this has. I like this idea. Bloodied Breath. First time when bloodied, 1 per day when first bloodied. Dragon recharges and uses breath weapon. I like that. It's scary. It's real scary with this. This is gonna be the this is gonna be bad. It's gonna be a murder. I'm gonna kill them. They're gonna die this time. Maybe they will shock and astound me. What level spells do they have at level 7? Because at level 5, they get 4th level. So at level 7, they'll get 5th level spells. I don't know. If they have Hold Person, if someone actually has a spell Hold Person, then that first encounter that is a massacre waiting to happen becomes a slaughter in the other direction. Because the Hold Person, you cast that at 5th level and you paralyze all 4 of these guys. And you just cut them down. So, like, this can go very, very different directions depending on what's going on. If these guys get to attack without being CC'd, basically, holy fuck, these guys are going to wreck stuff up. They're going to be brutal. And the same kind of goes down here. And like I was thinking, if I need more toughness, I can make the Great a Mimic, which would be hilarious. I could throw in a couple more of these Shatterkai into this battle. And the same goes back here. Like, I can roll some stuff out. And hopefully, the way it's set up, I'll be able to reuse Fatale in each of the encounters, is the goal. And if I really need, Fatale and the Oni can retreat into here. But in that case, this is going to be a really strong, really scary fight against the dragon. There's just so much that can go either way here. That, I don't know. We'll see how it goes. I'm intrigued, players. Astound me. But, yeah, I think that's really about... Suggestion's a really funky spell. Different Dungeon Masters done Suggestion in really different ways. The Forgotten one. Yeah, I don't know. Suggestion's a funky spell. That's all I'm going to say. Especially Mass Suggestion. But, yeah, I don't know. I'm excited to see how this works out. I don't think I need to give the Black Dragon any other abilities. This thing is going to be terrifying just as it is with the Bloodied Breath. This is a CR14 creature. It's really strong. So that's going to be a real challenge just as a solo monster. And to beat it, they're going to have to be smart. They're going to have to split apart and attack it correctly and play well. So if Fatale's in there too, they got to hope they kill Fatale before that. So yeah, I think that's really about it. Thanks everyone for hanging out. I know this was a bit of a quick one it's 2 hours. 2 hours and 10 minutes, whatever. Or pretty much on the dot 2 hours because it's a 10-minute intro. But yeah, I know we started a little early today, but I've got D&D that I have to run here in 1 hour, so I got more stuff to prep for. Thank you all for hanging out, and I will hopefully see all of you tomorrow for DnDTime Delves. This should be a good one. Oh, it's scary. So much can go wrong with this. But before I leave, I just want to say one thing. Did you know that there's a live-action Sonic the Hedgehog movie coming out in 2019 starring Jim Carrey as Dr. Eggman? Holy shit, world. What's happening? And with that, I'm going to take off. Take care. Everybody, thank you for hanging out. I love y'all. And we'll see you Sunday. Toodles!